Let's try this again. Hey everybody, this is my vlog 3. I hope everything works okay because I had technical difficulties last time, but we're going to try this one more time. Just got off of work, so let's do this. Danny's vlog this week had a couple different questions, um, and I kind of wanted to go more in depth with those questions this time than I did last time. I didn't use as much of the book in last time as I probably should have, so I'm going to go a little bit more in depth this time. The first question that Danny brought up was, who are you? I know this is a very, very broad question, but if you would have asked me before the reading, really, who am I would probably say, well, of course, I'm a white male, younger, um, athletic, love sports. You can answer this in a variety of ways, but to put it back towards our reading, I found in Helm's model of white identity development that it has two stages: um, abandonment of racism and evolution of a non-racist identity. I thought this was really neat because I feel like I experienced the first stage really early in my life, um, because it says in the book right here that abandonment of racism, the first phase, describes the process of moving from oblivious to naive conceptions of race. Um, I grew up a when I was younger in a predominantly white high school. Um, I got introduced um, when I was in middle school, actually, um, to a more of a cultural atmosphere when I was the only white male on a basketball team on my middle school team. And I was very, very accepting of this, and I kind of didn't see myself as white or black. I kind of saw myself as kind of naive, as it describes in the book. Um, I didn't see myself. I didn't have that identity yet, um, but I consider myself just one of the players. Um, and then once I started to get older, started to go to high school, I had that evolution of non-racist identity. I moved schools when I was in high school, and I moved from a predominantly white high school to a predominantly black high school. This was very different for me. Um, I kind of I kind of found out who I was then, and kind of determined myself and found who I really was deep down. And I kind of identified myself as a white male who has put that sort of has learned that racism, what it is, where it came from, and what it is still today. And I've kind of put that beside, you know. I see that it is a terrible thing. I actually just recently watched the movie The Butler, and if you've never seen it, it's a great movie. It'll leave you in tears to see how people acted back in those days. But the second phase, like I was saying, the evolution of non-racist identity, the second phase involves deeper reflection and attempts to interact with other social group members. I, throughout high school, had only mainly friends of other races. It was not just me hanging with other white people. It was um, one of my closest friends who's still my friend, and I call him my brother today, is a black male who just is closer to blood than me because we have talked about it, and we're very open about it. Um, which brings me to the second question. Helm's article, which information processing strategy defines me? I said autonomy, which is flexible analysis and responses to racial material. So, me and my best friend Demarcus, we talk about these things. I'm very, very comfortable talking about these things because I've identified myself as a white male, and I know that some things that I don't understand when it comes to race, but I'm very open-minded when it comes to race, and I do listen to the things that, to get other perspectives from people who of different races. Um, and I feel like that's a big step forward for me as well as a lot of people in the United States who need to take that, or in the world. Um, I think that I'm very comfortable talking about these situations in my workplace also, especially identifying as a white male in our program is kind of different because I have an all a very diverse staff. We are very, very close at intramurals, and I accept every one of them, and they accept me. And we get to talk about a lot of these things and how they're different sometimes. And it's good to have those things. It diversifies the whole entire staff and brings us closer together. Uh, I think this is just kind of like breaking down walls and putting ourselves ahead of the game where we should be, and actually brings us together. The third question was, how do we as student affairs professionals help students find their identities? And in the book, in our reading in chapter 14, I read the one of the first stories in there. It starts off in chapter 14, uh, and it's talking about this multicultural learning community, and they said it was a way for the institution to actually become more diversified, but the argument was that we are not creating a diverse community if different races are not involved. This hits home to me. I don't think you can diversify anything if you just have one race. We at Campus Recreation, I think we do a good job of this. We make sure to add sports where we're not segregating anybody or putting things to the side where, hey, this is a mostly white sport, this is a mostly black sport. We have a very diverse group that plays our sports, and we make sure to offer all kinds of sports so that it touches every piece of different races, different cultures, different countries who may have just random sports. We try to touch all those bases. We have sports from ping pong, which is big in China. We have basketball, which is big in the United States. We don't have floor hockey yet, but we're trying to get hockey, which is big in Canada. So we're supporting everything. We're trying to make our staff more diverse as well as our participants. And if we can accomplish this, we can accomplish anything within our student affairs professionalism. Um, I feel like this topic is kind of controversial at times, but if you actually read in the book and look at some of these theories, it explains it right there for you. It's plain, clean, clear as day, and I think that we do need to start putting these theories to effect and actually looking at these things and actually learning about ourselves. Because if we understand this, we can understand ourselves and who we are and gain that identity. So it all starts with us. This has been my vlog 3. Thank you for listening.